Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Patty Giarrusso, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Today's guest is Rachel Augusta, and she's a holistic animal practitioner, and we're really excited to talk with her today. Rachel works with animals all over the world who are sick, injured, have terminal illnesses, suffer from age-related issues or trauma due to previous abuse. And Rachel's been featured by the New York Times, CNN, BBC, and was on the cover of People magazine. She is a certified advanced proficiency healing touch for animals practitioner, which is the highest certification in this field. She has her own practice and works in hospitals, vet clinics, and rehab facilities, and in shelters as well. Rachel's business was featured in a best-selling Hay House published book, Women Rocking Business. She's been interviewed by the International Animal Protection Organization in Defense of Animals, has been interviewed on numerous podcasts and radio shows, and is a keynote speaker at various festivals, events, colleges, and workshops, spreading her messages about the importance of preventative health care for your pets. Rachel would also like to offer everyone that's listening a gift from her website, rachelaugusta.com, and we'll get back to that at the end of the show to all our listeners. It's a healing audio that should be listened to with your fur babies that can trigger a physiological relaxation response. And on today's show, I want to talk to Rachel about separation anxiety in particular, because she's got some really interesting ideas and ways to help our pets. And in my platform being Lost Pets, we know that a lot of pets escape because of separation anxiety and fears, just trying to, escape from their home and all of this. So we're going to talk about that, and she's going to give us some really good tips on how to help. So welcome to the show, Rachel.
Hi, Patty. Thank you for having me. I love talking about separation anxiety.
Yeah, and we're really excited to talk about it because it is a very big problem and it causes so much stress, not only for the pets, but for their families. So if you want to just jump right in and give us some of your, really useful information, we're waiting to hear it.
Yeah, I will do that. So, yeah, as you know, and as other listeners, separation anxiety is a really big deal. So many animals have it, and it causes a lot of animals to go missing, end up in shelters, or die just from being hit by cars or lost out, in nature. And it's something that can typically be easily turned around if we can get the humans to just make a few small minor changes. Now, the changes I'm going to be discussing might sound out there or weird or crazy or off the wall, but trust me, they work. People that I've shared this information with who've laughed in my face when I've told them how to change this, came back later and they were like, wow, that actually really worked. It was highly valuable information. Thank you so much. So we go to work and our animals freak out. And I'm going to share with you a story actually of one of my clients who came to me probably about 6 years ago. This woman called me one day. She worked for Delta Airlines, so she was gone all the time. And while she was gone, her dog would destroy the house, had tore up the carpet, had peed all over everything, ate the sofa, just really destroyed her home. And she couldn't put her in the kennel because the dog was able to eat through the plastic and almost decapitated herself, cut her neck open trying to get out because she was so afraid. She bent metal. She would do anything to get out of the kennel. So keeping her in the kennel wasn't even an option. Mm-hmm. And this woman would have the neighbor children go and look through the windows. And if she was frothing and it looked like she wasn't breathing, she would rush home. That was in her indicator to get home. And of course, this is devastating for the dog. This is devastating for the house, but this was devastating for this woman because we can't not work. And right. So, she has to go to work. And so she can't bring her dog with her. So what we did was we did a session of coaching this woman how to explain to her dog where she was going, why, how long she would be gone. And it ended up solving the problem entirely.
Hmm.
So our animals are highly telepathic. And humans, when we think and when we talk, we create images in our brain. We're just doing it so rapidly, we're not aware that we are doing it. And so this is how our animals know what's going on with us. And there's a scientist who did a lot of studies on this, and he said essentially we have no secrets. And this is why our animals, our cats, will disappear on the day we're supposed to take them to the vet. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where did they go? Oh, they knew that we were thinking about the vet. They saw all of the images we were creating in our head, and they nonchalantly walked off, not to be seen until the next day when the vet appointment's over. And so this is, if you keep that in mind, our animals are reading the images in our brain. We can talk them through these situations and help them out of it. We also have the ability to make it way worse. So I'm going to talk to you first about how we make it way worse for them, and then how we can make it better. So usually animals who have anxiety, they'll do something. It starts off small, but then we see it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. This is usually because of something the human has been doing. So let's say your dog is afraid to be at home, and the first signs are that maybe they've started peeing on the floor. And what the human will think is, oh no, they're not doing well. They're really stressed out. This is really hard for them. Oh no, they're going to pee on my floor. And oh, this is awful. They're really scared. And so, what the image that the dog is seeing is of them not coping and peeing all over everything.
Mm.
Well, the dog might not know why the human is thinking that. You and I, we can be speaking the same language and there still be miscommunications between us. Telepathy is the middle ground. It's not their language either. So when we create unclear images in our heads of them not coping, they don't necessarily know why we're creating those images. The dog might be thinking, oh, she's validating this. This is scary. This is where I should be going to the bathroom. Or maybe the human starts thinking, wow, they do really horribly at home, really, really badly. And so all the images she's creating, the dog is seeing that. I do really badly when I'm at home. This is very bad for me. This is very scary for me. And what it does is it makes the situation grow, and it makes it to turn into, it snowballs. It begins to snowball, and things get worse and worse and worse and worse. So this woman who had this dog who had torn up the house, and the neighbor kids were looking in the windows, the day she called me, she said, I was sitting at work thinking to myself, please don't tear down the curtains. Please don't tear down the curtains. Please, 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 Lily, don't tear down the curtains. And when she got home, all the curtains were torn down.
Mm.
And I had to laugh, even though it wasn't funny, because I was like, you actually told her to tear down the curtains.
Hmm.
And, well, what do you mean? Because even though they weren't in the same room, telepathy is the ability to communicate, at distances. Her dog saw images of herself tearing down the curtains. So this woman essentially told her dog to tear down the curtains.
Wow.
And, and I like to think of this a lot as, it'd be like if somebody was hovering over you and telling you where you were going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
We probably would. If you had a parent that was saying to you, you're so bad at math. You're so bad at math. I'm just really afraid you're going to fail this test. You've never been good at this. I'm so worried for you. You're never going to be able to complete this. Versus, I know you've had a hard time in the past, but we've worked together and you had a good night's sleep. And I really trust that you're going to do well today. And if you don't, that's okay. We'll keep working through this together.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is how we want to shift it with our animals. So when they have separation anxiety, we want to speak in the positive to them instead of in the negative, because animals don't speak in negatives in the same way that human children don't. If you say to a human child, don't run in the street, they hear run in the street.
Right.
And that's how telepathy works as well with animals. If you say, don't tear down the curtains, the image you're creating in your brain is of them tearing down the curtains. So you need to shift everything. And this is really hard for us as humans because we've been taught to speak in negatives.
Yeah, right.
Even to ourselves. So it's actually, it requires a lot of practice. So what we say to ourselves is, I know that you were scared in the past, but everything is really safe here. And then you talk them through what's actually happening. So what we do is we say, I have to go to work. I can't bring you with me because they don't let dogs come in, but I'm going to be gone from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's roughly 8 hours. And while I'm gone, I'm going to be thinking about you. And then you do actually think about them and they can feel that. And doing that simple switch can pull them out of anxiety. It's setting them up for success versus knowing they're going to fail. Giving them the opportunity to succeed versus forcing them into failure. And and some other things we can do is say, your job while I'm gone is to play with this squeaky toy, eat the peanut butter out of the Kong, and sleep and relax. And I'm going to turn on some soft music for you. And then I'll be back and we'll go on a nice walk when I'm home. And it's really amazing that this little shift, it's really little, can completely shift and change how this animal responds.
Now, what kind of time frame are you suggesting this might take for it to really start to work? Is it pretty fast, or
it can be really quick for some animals? Some animals it takes a little bit longer depending on how severe it's become for them.
Yeah.
And the human, like I said, we have such a hard time speaking in positives, humans do, that it takes a little bit of training on our end. And sometimes I have my clients will go back and forth with, I'm saying this to my animal and I'm like, oops, that's not clear enough. Like one thing they'll say is, like, no one's going to hurt you. Okay, well, that's not very clear because no one's going to hurt you creates an image of maybe them being hurt.
Right.
And so you have to start thinking, oh, you're totally safe. This is your home. It makes me happy when you can relax. That feels really good. And so the more the human can perfect this with themselves, usually the easier it is for the animal to respond to it. The more clear the image they can create, the human can create in their brain, the guardian can create, that's what's really gonna help them. And they have to believe it.
Yeah. Does this work with thunderstorms? Florida has, a lot of thunderstorms, and so we have a lot of scared dogs.
Yeah, thunderstorms, fireworks, you talk them through it, and a lot of times you can talk them through it ahead of time. This is going to be happening. This is about the time that it's going to be happening. And and what we can do is sit and watch a movie together. We're safe here. And that's especially when things are really scary. It's important to say we're safe, not you're not going to be hurt, which is what we typically think is no one's going to hurt you. This isn't going to hurt you. That's not a clear image at all. The reason why too, I really wanted to start talking about separation anxiety a lot is actually I met a man in Florida in February who he came up to me and was like, my dog has such bad separation anxiety. We're thinking that we have to get rid of her. And I was like, tell me what's going on. And he's like, well, she's peeing on the rugs when we leave. And, he